More than 35 people, including several children, have drowned and 75 have been rescued after a boat carrying migrants and refugees to Greece sank off Turkey's west.
Turning overseas, about 100 migrants are missing in the Mediterranean off Libya. Their boat capsized.
Every day, thousands of people are being forced to flee their homes. It's one of the world's fastest growing displacements.
At least 40 refugees and migrants are feared dead after a boat carrying dozens.
Thousands of migrants and refugees from the war-torn Middle East and Africa who have perished in a desperate attempt to find a new life in Europe. But even for those who survive, a rude awakening awaits in countries that are moving to close their doors.
My name is Adam, and I'm from Sudan. As a child, I grew up watching villages burning and people dying. It felt like a never-ending war. My mother and father did everything they could to protect us. But this is not a life for children. As I got older, I started to understand what was happening. But it still made no sense. I moved to Khartoum to study, but this is when things got worse. My university blacklisted me, and my own government now see me as a rebel. I just wanted to help people and stand up for what's right. Since it's became very difficult for me to stay in Sudan, South Korea became the only destination for me.
My name is Musab, and I'm from Egypt. At the time when I was born, my father was in jail and because of his political activities, and later he got killed by tortured by the government in the prison. I was against Mubarak regime, and I was member of youth movement against the regime. And I started to focusing on human rights issue in Egypt and covering by photojournalism about human rights issue, and also making documentaries about human rights problem and situation in Egypt.
My name is Sarah and I'm from Egypt. I used to be a researcher and activist defending human, economic, and social rights. I was an activist in 6 April movement, which was a passing movement of ideologies established in 2008. So being a religious activist put me in a lot of danger due to my ideas about religion that came from being an oppressed Muslim woman.
Because of my work as a photojournalist, I was directly targeted by the authorities and the national security. It was a very difficult period for us, and we have to head in another place and leave our homes because they were looking for us.
We did not have enough time to search for places to go. So South Korea became the place where we were able to rebuild our lives.
여러분 안녕하십니까? 여기는 대한민국 수도 서울에서 방송해드리는 호출보
지금 시각은 4시 55분입니다.
라디오 한국 KBS 국제 방송입니다. 여기는 서울입니다.
Back in Egypt, I used to work also not just about Egyptian rights, but also about refugees in Egypt. I had to pause this kind of work, this kind of activity for 2 years. After I got refugee status, I had a chance to back again to my work. So here in Korea, I work on migrants and refugees issue. I make short documentaries. I make to journalism reports to cover the daily life of migrants and refugees and what they are doing.
After arriving in Korea, there were a lot of difficulties at first. Nothing can compensate for our lives that was stopped for 2 years. But we finally started to feel that we existed and we have rights. We are more stable now since we got good jobs in the same fields that we used to work at in Egypt. I am now working in a civil society women's organization that defend women's rights. It feels good to be able to help people again after everything that we went through. But there are still many things that need to be changed to help us and other refugees.
I think refugees and asylum seekers, they bring a lot of different perspectives to the Korean community, where the Korean community has never learned about refugees before. Sometimes just sharing their stories. For instance, we work with a civil society organization in Korea where they run a program where the refugees and asylum seekers come to a meeting to share their stories with the Korean publics. And sometimes it's a great stepping stone for the Korean citizens to come together and listen to the stories of refugees and asylum seekers.
I wanted to just be normal like anyone. I never thought that I'm gonna write book. One day I did lecture. After I finished the lecture, two guys, they came to me. They just hugged me and cried. They told me, we are really sorry, I didn't know. And he told me one thing, that I cannot change everything, but I will do something. So I thought maybe simple things can change, and that's the reason why I really started to write the book. More than just opening my life myself, even though it's not that easy for you to deal with your pain all the time and trying to remember things that you really work hard to forget. I wanted also to tell them I understand that you have your own pain. Also, we have our own pain, and that doesn't mean we are different, we are the same. I wanted to write about my life as a refugee, but not only about me. I wanted to talk about the people I have met as well also. Other refugees from Syria, Yemen, Iraq, Egypt, and so many countries. We have all came from different countries and cultures. Of course, we are all different, but now we share the same life. I always wonder about life as a refugee, even though I am living it.
My name is Freddy, and I'm from Democratic Republic of Congo. Growing up in Congo, I came to understand that life wasn't what I hoped for when the political situation changed during the 90s. I watched as my father went to protest and was arrested many times, but I was too young to understand. After I went to the university, I decided to join a political movement to fight for my people's rights. In 2006, things were getting worse and worse. I was hunted and threatened by the intelligence services, police, and military, so I could not go home. I only had one option: to leave my country so I could stay alive. Since I'm in Korea, I realized that Korean people in general doesn't know African continent. I realized I have to write a book concerning my country, concerning the refugee issue. I wanted to explain to them to know where we are from, step by step, who exactly we are.
Refugees are often imagined by the society or host community members as very vulnerable, and I think that's some sort of misconception by the public, because the term refugee is a very specific term. It means that they fled their country due to the persecution they may face. I believe that refugees have a lot to contribute to the community because they have a lot to share with the host community. One of the key efforts that we can make is to provide accurate information for refugees and asylum seekers, because to Korean communities, mostly they're foreigners, and it's really difficult for them to relate to the issues of refugee in their normal daily lives.
한국 사회는 다름을 참지 못하는 사회라고도 표현을 하는데, 다르면 다르지라고 하지 않고 넌 왜 달라라고 손가락질을 하게 되는 문화가 오랫동안 가득히 있기 때문에 이질적일 수도 있는, 때로는 그런 다양한 사람들이 같이 있어준다라는 것 자체는 한국 사회의 어마어마한 기여라든지 오히려 매우 감사해야 될 일이라고 생각되고요.
Now there is a new generation of refugees growing, and they don't go to school normally, and they don't integrate with the kids in their age. So this is kind of really difficult, because if you just take a look about refugee life in everywhere in Korea, you will find refugees, they're living only just with themselves. So we need to destroy that gap between people.
I kept all these 5 years to saying that refugees are just human, and I keep saying it because for some people it's hard to understand. All refugees is very hard and it's impossible to go back, because I am not going back to my country. I'm going back to death or jail, so it's not a choice.
To be a refugee is a very tough, but to be both a mother and a refugee is much harder. Refugee women face a lot of challenges to be in a good place and safe environment. And we have a lot of responsibilities to provide our kids with their needs without making them feel the hardship of being a refugee. I hope that more is done to raise awareness about refugee children, because they are often forgotten about and end up suffering the most.
I think refugees are just ordinary people who come from, extraordinary background. Some people use the word fake refugees, but I don't think there's a fake refugee. It's important to recognize that they're forced to leave their country or of origin to seek for protection because they could not obtain those protection from their country.
There is many issues that refugees facing. If you don't have the attitude to accept me because I'm suffering, people have to go somewhere, which means it's gonna be a refugee. Which means we have to think about it more. You have to understand.
결국은 크게 다르지 않다고 생각해요, 저는. 근데 난민들 같은 경우에 사실 그 수가 한국에 너무너무 작기 때문에 그리고 난민들에 대한 이미지나 같이 살았던 경험들이 많이 없기 때문에 많은 시민분들이 낯설게 여기는 너무너무 달라서 우린 같이 살기 어렵지 않을까라는 그런 편견 혹은 선입견 이런 것들을 낳게 된다고 생각합니다.
Refugees are already here. They need your help, not in the matter of supporting them with goods, things, money, and so on. No, you will not fix the problem. Give them the chance to be in your society. Then they will give you what they have to contribute to the development of society.
Just take a moment and think about their life before. Those people, they had enough. They came here. Even if they don't want, they came already. If you don't know anything, just come close, talk to them.
Korea needs human rights, not just for foreigners or migrants or refugees, but for Koreans themselves. Human rights is one. It's not for a specific group or a specific person.
If you just sit with refugees, talk with them, and discuss their life, I'm sure it will be overwhelming, but we should try to understand. We should make them feel safe and welcomed as humans first.
시민 여러분들끼리 혹시 난민을 낯설게 생각하더라도 여러분이 힘들고 어려운 삶들을 미래의 불안을 겪고 있던 것만큼 그러나 그것보다 훨씬 더 어렵고 훨씬 더 심각하고 어려운 박해의 위험과 중대한 인권 침해 이것들을 겪고 있는 사람들이 주변에 있다라는 것을 어떤 공감대를 가지고 봐주셨으면 좋겠다라는 생각입니다.
I know that the procedures that the refugees and asylum seekers have to go through to receive protection from the states or UNHCR may be challenging. Do not be afraid of seeking resources and protection or assistance from the civil society and UNHCR as well as the government.
I want refugees to know that you are not alone, you are strong and brave. You are the proof of the suffering that has taken place in your country, and there is no bigger proof than that.
Refugees need to prove themselves that they are capable of changing the environment in the host country. Bring new culture, bring their culture, bring their knowledge to the benefits of the host country.
Refugees, I wanted to say also one thing, that they should really focus hard to get to know the Korean people, learn the language. I want to tell them you have a big responsibility also to tell the people about yourself, because if you don't step one step, no one can know about you, and it's not okay to live in shadows.